Hi, my name is Viv, and over the last couple of weeks, I have been speaking about my experiences of living during this COVID pandemic. But then I had the idea, why don't I speak to somebody else and hear their experiences of living during this COVID pandemic? So I decided to organize an interview. This is my first time interviewing somebody else, and I'd really like to hear what you thought. But most importantly, I'd like to hear about your experiences of the COVID pandemic. So please do comment in the section below. So why not grab a cup of tea and join me and my guest for a tea talk with Viv. Like many other Irish people, I have family working and living abroad. And unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to meet them directly because of COVID 19. And to be honest, I don't actually know when we're going to get the opportunity to meet again. One of those people is my brother, Jamie Rath. Jamie is living and working in New York City, which is now the epicenter of the virus. Typical Jamie has to be in the middle of everything. So I decided to get him on today to hear what he has to say about life living in New York City. And to be really honest with you now, there's actually been more people asking for Jamie down here in Kilmuckridge in Wexford than they're asking for me who's been cocooning for the last 9 weeks. So Jamie, tell me, what is life like living in New York City during this COVID-19 crisis?
Getting on well, thank you very much. I'm surviving here in New York, getting used to life in quarantine and really starting to try to adapt to the new normal, as everyone calls it. But I'm proudly still waving my Wexford flag in the background. I actually think that by virtue of how good we played last year and in the league, that we probably have won the All-Ireland if de facto because of quarantine. So I want to take that victory for Wexford this year. And then he lives like royalty. It's always been like that. So you have mum and dad working overtime, cooking dinner.
Yeah. But Jamie, tell us though, what has it been really like living in New York at the moment?
So it's definitely a little bit scary. At the onset of the virus, when it was just coming out of China, and it was little less than a rumor, and no one was really worried about it. And then obviously it blew up in Italy, and then America really we started to get like quite nervous about what it was going to mean for us and our jobs and for our families and friends. And then all of a sudden, in March, it just blew up, and New York became the new like epicenter of the virus. And to be honest, it's been like, the first few weeks of it were really, really like kind of scary for everyone involved here in New York because, the streets emptied out. It was like a barren wasteland. I don't know, Viv, I know you watch a lot of TV now, way more than I've ever watched, but I Am Legend. Have you ever seen the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith? Where he's walking through Times Square and the place is empty. There's wild dogs everywhere. That was like where people's minds were going. And obviously there was a lot of like inconsistencies on WhatsApp and TV and the news. No one really knew what was going on. But now at week 9, I think we're finding, some sort of like normals in like our routine and stuff. And people are a little bit more calm. And there's not as much disinformation. So I think people are much more comfortable and getting used to like, what life is like in quarantine and with COVID-19. What's it like in Ireland?
Things are improving here in Ireland. The community has really gotten together, especially here in Kilmuckridge, our local club. Our local club, Buffer's Alley, have been doing huge amount. Local businesses have been really helpful, and that people have generally been sticking to the regulations in relation to it. And the result is that we're reaching a point now where restrictions are starting to be lifted. But I know, Jamie, you're living in an apartment. I mean, it's great for me out in the countryside here, living in a house, but what's it like living in an apartment in New York?
In New York, it's been okay. It's actually been great. My girlfriend and I have been like, we've got into a great routine. It's 15 square feet now, so there's definitely been arguments about certain areas in the household. I've made the sitting room my stronghold, but we've been dealing with it pretty okay. It's just tough because for the first period, no one was going outside, and everyone was like really scared about like how do you contract the disease or the flu or the virus. And there was just so much like disinformation that everyone was kind of like nervous about what you could do. And now, you know, I'm able to go out for walks. We're able to go out and exercise outside. We keep our distance. We do all of the things that you're meant to do. We watch. There's a governor over here, Andrew Cuomo, the senator of New York, and he has been like a rising star. So everyone's been following him, and he's been really, really great. Because the other guy can be a little bit unreliable. Yourself, how have you been getting on with your PhD?
Well, look, I mean, my PhD is ongoing. I'm the never-ending student on looking at the social engagement experiences of disabled students in higher education. But like I have to say, in fairness, I actually learned a lot of my remote working skills during that time you were based at home here. And it really has stood me at this time. But I know like a lot of people are suffering from Zoom exhaustion. They're finding remote working really difficult here in Ireland because it's new for a lot of people. And then I think a lot of people, especially, you know, who are cocooning or in vulnerable positions, are concerned, you know, feel a bit worried about their self-worth. And it can be hard when you're working from home to constantly measure it. So I was just wondering, I mean, how do you, I mean, I know you're a physio and you're mad into exercise and fitness, but how have you looked after your physical and mental health during this very difficult time?
Yeah, I mean, it's critical to keep the mental and physical health taken over at all times, especially in like the new pandemic COVID-19 era. It's never been more important. So for me, like, it's always been one of my biggest outlets is exercise. So whether it was playing average hurling for Buffers Alley, centre forward, try my best to hit the ball, or whether it was, you know, running, you know, long distances like I have in the past. I've just really like relied on exercise, and exercise has been a huge outlet for me. And then other than that, it's just like, you know, I've been talking to all my friends probably, you know, even more since the onset of COVID-19. So talking to people and just making sure that I'm, you know, out there talking to people and being social is so important during this period, because, you know, even more so with COVID-19, it isolates people even more. And you know, you're just going to have those social norms. So just being able to talk to people over the phone, over Zoom, you know, me and you catch up every week, and I get the updates from Clonmacridge. So just reaching out to people and talking to people, I suppose.
Yeah. That's it. Well, I mean, I have found as a person that's, you know, living in a cocoon basically for that.
Living in a library, it would look like. Living choice library, is it?
That's all of a reflection of all of my knowledge, Jamie.
Yeah.
No, but as a disabled person, I have found it difficult enough because that's in terms of being socially isolated. But certainly, social networks have been really helpful, and the amount of people calling and phoning me and Zooming me has been really heartening, and it really shows that really the importance of sense of community. But mental health has really become a significant talking point here at home now in Ireland, because the CSO have just released results of a survey which found that people have really started to feel down and even depressed during this time because they're missing those social interactions. But I know you're doing something really cool, and it's not very often that I put you and cool in the one sentence, but I know that you're raising funds for the Samaritans at the minute. And are you doing something like running 496 kilometers in 1 month?
Exactly, 496 kilometers in a month. So basically, what I'm doing for the month of May is I'm running a kilometer for every day that there is in May. So on the first, I would run 1 kilometer. On the second, I'd run 2 kilometers, running all the way up to the 31st, which will be culminating in 31 kilometers, a total of 496 kilometers, or 11 and a half marathons in the month of May. So I'm going to be burning some serious rubber during the month of May.
Yeah.
Keep my distance from everyone, wearing my mask, being safe, but I'm going to be like everyone who's, you know, in quarantine running their own marathon. I'm going to be actually out there running, and I'm going to be raising some money for Samaritans who me and you both know do incredible work, especially in the southeast of Ireland, helping with people. You know, for me, I know when I was doing it for my Ironman, I raised money last year with the Ironman. And I got to meet the team down there, and in the team in Waterford, and they told me, that Wexford, Waterford, and Kilkenny has the highest incidence of suicide among young males in Ireland. So between the ages of 18 and 24, which is it's very close to my age.
Very upsetting, really.
Yeah, it's very close to my age group, and it's a harsh realization. And friends and loved ones who you care for, and you really want to make sure that doesn't ever happen. So raising a bit of money, trying to raise a bit of money for the guys down in Waterford. They do incredible work. Obviously, with the pandemic, they're getting hit really hard in terms of people aren't able to able to fundraise, they aren't able to donate as usual. So they need to keep the lights on. They need to keep people on the phones to make sure that, if anyone is suffering, that they can call them and talk to them. So going to try and raise some money, and in the meantime, run 11 and a half marathons.
Well done, Jamie. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. And but just tell me, what do you miss most about besides me? What do you miss most about not being at home?
Yeah, well, obviously you're number one, clearly, always. But probably a very close second is like ham, cabbage, and spuds with a little bit of mustard on the side. That's probably the thing I miss the most. The mammy's dinners, and being in the bosom of my family, of course.
Well, and not to interrupt you, but would you believe it? I've actually just received a text message just very minute here, and it's asking me a text message in from Dad, and he wants to know, could I ask Jamie, has he watched Mass on Facebook today?
Of course I have. I've literally just taken my communion, and I've said my Our Fathers and Hail Marys. I've just done it all. Got it out of the way, thank God. Amen.
I'll pass that on to him. Tell me, what do you want to say? Is there anything you want to say to friends and family and all those people here in Kilmuckridge who are constantly asking more about you than asking about me? So is there anything?
Well, I think the thing that is most pressing at this moment, and the real worry that's on many people's mind, is that if anyone in the Kilmuckridge area has a scissors and they could potentially lend my brother a hand and give his hair a quick snip, it would be really much appreciated, because that mane is something else.
Well, thank you very much, Jamie, for your help. And I just want to say fair dues to you for doing what you're doing. The Samaritans are a great charity. It's very important that people look after their mental health during this time by following a regime. And of course, people can donate to you. You have a GoFundMe page, which can be found on Facebook or on social media pages, or on the course GoFundMe. So well done, Jamie. And remember, everybody out there, talking is a sign of strength.
Absolutely. Talking is a sign of strength.
My tea is done. My guest has shared their experiences. And I'm afraid tea time with Viv is over. Thank you for joining me today. And I'd really appreciate your feedback. As I said, this is my first time doing this. And also, I'm really interested to hear about your experiences of living during this COVID pandemic. So please comment in the comment section below. Thank you